my day was about. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to HoGaLe's Global Astrology. Welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. You're all piling in already. Who do we have? We have Lady G with us. Are you
looking
in New Mexico?
gorgeous as always?
Of course. Now with the coiffed sort of to the side kind of bob, always looking wonderful. And of course we have Lena, Dr. Lena.
Yes, that'd be Lena. Yeah.
I had to take a few breaths. It's been an epic day, folks. And
you're Hogarth.
Right. And I'm Hogarth. I can just about remember myself. Honestly, like, you guys would not believe some of the scrabbling behind the scenes that I sometimes have to do to get to this show on time, let alone with everything rebooting and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, sweet Jesus.
No, well, that's because it's at midnight for you on a Saturday night, and you have to get all across London and stuff at times to be here, you know.
I've literally hobnobbed it across London, and I'm just going to say, so first of all, thanks everyone so much for being here. But I have to say, I've literally come from a bookshop. Yeah, actually, I might
dear old Foils. Yeah.
All right, Foils, because I've just come from my brother's book launch. And it's called Little Big Man, Stanley James Browne. So I just want to give a big shout out to my eldest brother, Stanley. I've got so much love and respect for my brother and his journey. It's an autobiography. It's an extraordinary journey that he's been on. And he was just recounting things about his life, about our life, about our mother who suffered from paranoid schizophrenia. And it was an incredible, we've all had an incredibly intense childhood. This is part of why I'm able to be an astrologer, really. And I've got a very unusual chart. And we've all got unusual charts. And my brother was just talking about certain family experiences that I thought I had forgot. And I will tell you this, I'll just share this with you now. And, I've had lots of drinks and stuff and hardly any food, but I may as well just come out with it.
Yeah.
And he was describing how as kids, we hardly had any food. My mother was in love with Elvis Presley. We will start the show soon, folks, but I just got to get this.
No, let it out, hun.
So my mother was in love with Elvis Presley, and there's a whole scene in the book where she basically got married to Elvis Presley via the TV. I kid you not.
Okay.
And we had a lot of hunger. And there were times where my mum would cook a full spread meal for Elvis Presley, and my brother and sisters and I, we were not allowed to eat the food.
Oh my God.
My brother's on stage being interviewed. He's tearing up. And he described, and what we used to do, we were so hungry. We used to get there were these catalog books that my mum used to get of like Christmas hampers and stuff like that.
Yes.
And what my brothers and sisters used to do and what I used to do, they used to sit on the stairs and they used to look at the pictures of like roasted hams, roasted turkeys, chickens, jam, pudding. And we used to pretend that we were eating the food. And when my brother said that story, that was a memory I thought I had forgot, and I just burst uncontrollably.
That is massively awful.
It was huge, and it just came out of me, of all people. You know, my brother wears his heart on his sleeve. You know, he's a big, strong, burly man, but he's very much in touch with his emotions. So the waterworks are quite easy for him, but it is rare. And there were just these things, and I just felt such love for him, so proud of him and his life and his journey and his ability to overcome addiction and drugs and everything. His life is extraordinary. And for someone that is not a household name, his book is absolutely sensational. And the publisher was like, I am just astonished. She's like, I've never had anyone come with an autobiography like this. So at some point after the show, I'll put the the details in the
Yes.
description. And if anyone's curious about that, but hold on to your seats, because my brother's had a life, and there's even stuff that he said you don't even know about me, which you're going to find out in the book. So I've had this epic few weeks where my father passed, as everyone knows.
Yes.
Then the Queen passed, which delayed my father's funeral. Then I had my father's funeral and the cremation and everything, and that was just epic because he wasn't a man that I knew very well, and so many pieces of the jigsaw puzzle came into place. That was last Friday, 7th of October. On the 12th, I had my birthday, and tonight I've had my brother's book launch talking all about my mother and his family. And it's,
my goodness.
It's been
my word.
epic. Absolutely epic, and I think that's part of what the tears and the emotion, but it's been so cathartic, so healing, and so I just wanted to share with that with you guys.
And you've got a sister as well?
Yeah, brother and sister. So I've got my sister Angela, eldest sister Angela, big shout out to her. My Stanley, who is the middle brother but the eldest male child, Stanley James Browne. And then Minerva, my sister Minerva, who is the youngest female sister. And we were all there, and it was just incredible. My niece was there. She was there with her boyfriend, family, people I hadn't seen in ages.
Yes.
And it's just been epic. These eclipses for me have been earth-shaking. But in a good way.
In a good way, because you've lived the horror. Now it's the catharsis.
The catharsis, yeah, big time. So I just had to share that there. And I've not cried that much in years since my mother passed away, and even then the tears came out a year later. So anyway, so that's what my evening's been like.
I won't speak.
So I just had to share that. So tonight's show, we do have one or two international questions, but the international part is going to be about the UK broadly, and the rest is, let me just see if there's another. It's going to be, it's going to be America, and because, I mean, what batshit, folks? Just when we think, there can't possibly be any more. And it comes, and it's almost like the udder of outrage is almost dry. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, wow.
Yes. What emotion has anyone got left to be outraged?
It's just astonishing.
Oh, my word.
Just astonishing. So one thing I want to share before I start the show, and I was watching, because obviously us as YouTubers, we look at a lot of other YouTubers as well. We look at each other, everyone else watches each other. And anyway, I was watching this thing. Some of you in the audience, viewers may know this. It's called Midas Touch. It's this YouTube channel.
Oh, I love Midas Touch.
Yeah, but I dip in. And they had a clinical psychologist on called Banny, and she was talking about the psychological state of Donald Trump, how they tried to warn America, and how they were basically silenced.
Yes.
And as you know, I've been talking about this Pluto return, as you know, all the other astrologers and all this kind of stuff, because he's bringing up all this stuff, particularly shadow fascism. And she came out with an incredible definition of fascism. And she said, fascism is mental pathology in politics. Ooh.
A good way of looking at it. Yes.
Yeah. So I watched that show with all the bits and bobs. I don't know if my camera just froze a little bit. And I watched that show and I thought, wow, fascinating. But first question in, and I'm going to be using my new deck, which is called the Divine Feminine deck. If anyone's curious, this was my birthday present, completely unexpected. It is gold foiled. Try not to get too jealous, ladies, but
yeah. Oh my goodness, I want to lick it.
I know, it's gorgeous. They make the most wonderful shuffle. Now, of course, we love your cards as well, Lena, but look, they're like mermaids and all of this kind of stuff. Anyway, are we ready for the first question after my bilge?
Yes.
So Nuts has asked, is Eastman going to be indicted before Trump? And I think she means, is it John Eastman?
Yes, he was one of the last spent lawyers standing.
Indeed, and said to be one of the architects. What else did she say? She asked because he seems to be the mastermind behind all, cooking up the whole scheme. So him being indicted would, she's saying almost certainly Trump would be. I think Trump is going to be indicted, to be honest. There's so much evidence. And she says she's losing faith in Merrick Garland and suspecting his motives. Oh wow! So she's been having a difficult time. I'm paraphrasing it there, but she wrote more. But let's just focus on this John Eastman and if he will be indicted.
John
What?
Eastman.
Ooh. John Eastman. Will he be indicted? And a big shout out as well to my brothers and sisters if they're watching, especially Minnie.
Oh,
She's
totally.
home right now. Oh, good heavens, that's too many to fall out.
Yes, I had 2 fall out.
Wow, the clump. Let's do this. John Eastman. What's the future? John Eastman.
Well,
who would like
you
to go?
Kick off, Lady G?
Sure. Underneath of it all, I have going to calmer waters and something new beginning. I have to, he's going to try to defend and obstruct as usual. But the challenge is the judgment. The key to that is the judgment. And the clarification, though, is message going forward that we will be celebrating.
Wow. Wow.
So
anything else to add to that? Sorry.
Huh?
Anything else to add to that, Lady G?
Nope.
Okay, this is a very curious spread for me. So he gets the unwanted offer here, which I think is pressure from the DOJ. You tell us X, Y, and Z, or off you go, sort of thing. That there's a loss of innocence here. I don't think it's his loss of innocence. I think it's the American, exactly what this woman was describing, this feeling that no one's in control of the country anymore. Like, fish rots from the head and all of that we know, that the Supreme Court, DOJ have been compromised, but I don't think it's completely dead in the water, but they have been compromised. We know that. That has slowed everything down. Now, about John Eastman, I think things have been moving, because this is overhead here, behind the scenes or even in discussions with him, but they're currently stalled. He's refusing to cooperate on some level, so they have to work out what to do with him. And then as a clarifier, I pulled out from the Italian cards.
Wow.
The card of ill health.
Yeah.
I think any of these people who do have some sort of intellect, some sort of brain, are now worried. Because people like the Yeti don't worry because all their energy goes into keeping the ego front of house, and so they're not actually as worried as someone like him. But they're working out how to get the most out of a John Eastman indictment.
Yeah, indeed. Particularly as well with someone as this Dr. Bandy Lee was talking about, and she was talking about the dangerousness of Trump in the sense of, what did she call it? She said one of the things, and where these kind of almost pathological, not malignant, because he's a malignant narcissist. Yeah. And one of the words she used was the mask of sanity. And she was describing, she was saying his pathologies are so strong, and because he, in the moment, he so believes in his lies, And he has such a way of doing these things that it has the mask of sanity.
Yes.
And she said it is even more dangerous than someone just going around and just like half naked. Do you know what I mean? Because
yes, it's a different kind of thing.
Exactly. And I want to say two things that I've observed with Trump that I feel that are overlooked. And even though he didn't have traditional education or whatever, but two of his superpowers, as it were, is seduction and vulnerability. Duck L'Orange has this ability to...
Uh-oh.
You just froze.
Seduce. No. Oh, did I freeze? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Computer's catching up, whatever. Hopefully it'll catch up. But his ability to seduce. What he also has as well, his vulnerabilities are so raw, so naked. He's so wounded that a lot of other wounded people that feel wounded about their own life and their own circumstances, they kind of had almost this, do you know what I mean? This kind of gorilla glue bond with him. Where no matter how crazy he is, no matter how demented he is, they are twinned with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it's funny because for the last 2 years, hand on heart, I have not heard Trump's voice. Okay, because I can't bear it, but I have a policy. So if I'm watching something and they say, look, this is a clip of I literally fast forward because I don't want his voice in my head, right? That's how strongly I feel about it. However, the other day, I'd put on Ari Melba or somebody and I was doing something, so I couldn't get to the computer to fast forward past his clip. This was the one in Ohio. And I heard him say in his calm voice, you know, he's got his various theatrical voices. And these documents, it's not a crime. You know, they're mine. There was no crime. He was saying that. And I found myself going, right. I thought that's it. That's what he does by owning it, putting it out front, then saying it's not a crime. And they're not listening to anything else.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you said that, and I'll read my card soon, but I think it's important for at this stage, at this critical stage in the future of democracy, which is not hyperbole to say. I mean, we're going to start, well, obviously we'll talk a bit about the UK at some point, but it's not hyperbole to say, you know, that democracy is on the line here. And there is this seduction, it's this disarming. Because what is, if we put the shoe on the other foot, if you've not bonded with your mother and your father is an absolute out and out narcissist and you're never allowed to show weakness of any kind, you become an expert in what vulnerabilities are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember with because my mum suffered from schizophrenia, etc. I had to become an expert in many ways of psychology. I had to learn when you're dealing with a very, very difficult parent, God rest her soul, she was wonderful as well. And what is, I feel like what's happened is Duck L'Orange has realized his coping mechanisms, his strategy for survival. I'm not making any excuses for him because he is a malignant narcissist and a very, whatever. But he realized once he got that pulpit, oh my God, I can talk in this language of wounds.
Yes,
I can talk in the language of victimhood.
He's the victim in all of this.
And it just went down like, you know, like catnip to cats, and it was like ambrosia. And I just thought I would share that. Anyway, I must go on. So, pardon me, John Eastman. What do I get? Pardon me, I've got the 10 of Swords. Look at this beautiful kind of, I mean, it's a 10 of Swords, but it's a very elegant kind of 10 of Swords.
Yes.
It's almost like spiritual suffering, this one. So, of course, it's talking about what? Betrayal. Yeah, the 10 of Swords is all about betrayal. Thank you. We've got 1,000 people with us now. So, of course, this is easy. He's betrayed everyone. Yeah, he's betrayed everyone. everyone. He's come forward as the Jan 6th committee has reconvened and laid it bare. Trump knew everything. Everyone knew everything. And yet they still continued. If we look here, the next card that I've got is the Queen of Wands. Look at this gorgeous card where she's sitting on the back of the lion here. And it's come in the obstacle position. So, of course, there's a lot of females that are what? Looking for justice. Yeah, look, there are women that are passionate. I feel like in many ways, and it's so appropriate that this is the Divine Feminine deck. And I also want to give a shout out as well to my clients as well, because let me tell you something. The Divine Feminine is animating in every woman that I speak to having a consultation. I have lost track now of how much shamanic transformation is happening where women are embracing their power. It's like this huge download. Queen of Wands, passion. And this has come in the obstacle position. And let's hope, like I said before, it will be women. Honestly, it will be women that will save America and the world. We see it going on right now in Iran. We're going to see it in America and all this kind of stuff. Here we've got the Fool. This, of course, can represent John Eastman and just the sheer foolishness, not only of him, but all of them. All of them. This was so reckless. We can just literally, they jumped off a cliff with this guy and it was total BS. Then what I have here, though, is the 8 of Cups. And look, this one here, look, she's escaping on a wand. Oh, what a broomstick. She's escaping on a broomstick.
Love it.
What are they starting to do? They're starting to what? Abandon him. Yeah, because it's just reaching the point where it's just like, oh my God, especially with all these Jan 6 commissions. But if we look at the final outcome card, we have the Magician. So we know that the Magician can do a lot with what? Using every tool at your disposal, willpower, etc. But the shadow of it can also be manipulation as well. And I just think everyone has wised up to the manipulation on many levels. There's one or two, obviously, absolute cray-crays that are beyond retrieval. But I think, to me, that means it's all to play for. And I think everyone who's voting, particularly women, this is the time to pull out every tool in the box, because these guys mean it. They want to take away these freedoms, and not to put it all on women's back, men as well, but you know what I mean.
No, but it is important. And there's a group in Texas who have been very active, looking into calling themselves MAGA, and it's Mothers Against Greg Abbott. And good on them.
Wow.
You know.
And we are, if you are in New Mexico, our voting has already started, our early voting.
Oh, wow.
Yesterday it voted.
Thank you, Catherine Winston. That's very generous of you.
Thank you.
In the chat here, Waratah Healing. Hi. Waratahs are Australian flowers. And saying, is there anywhere safe to live in Australia with fires, flooding, and weather events?
Shall we do a quick one card pull on that?
No, it's all right. I have the answer, which is
what? No.
If you look at a map of Australia, 85% of Australians live around the coast, right? You know, it's not like America where the Midwest is full of little towns and cities and stuff. So because coasts are vulnerable in the next 100 years and beyond, most Australians are going to be affected by these things, you know, because of the demographic distribution. But thank you, Waratah.
Brilliant.
Can you let us know, are you Australian?
That'll be a good one.
And then somebody was saying your brother's book is coming out here in the U.S. in January 16th, but we can pre-order it now on Amazon. So we'll all be running over there to order.
Wow.
Because it obviously is a really, really important book for those beyond the family too.
Oh, my God. Forgive me a digression. I'm going to have a Lena digression. I'm on you. Let me tell you something, folks. Like, and I want to get real about what is going on with in the UK, and we're going to have a UK question. As you know, Liz Turd, with who's now being sacked, and she's now got Jeremy Hunt in, has hands down, single-handedly trashed the UK economy. to the extent where, you know, it's really hurt the pound, etc. It's made me cheaper, by the way, just so you know, my clients are in America, but I'm not the UK economy. And what I want to share is this: when we were growing up as kids, the type of poverty that we experienced was very rare. When we had when we would have the social workers that would come round to look after us, because there were times where mum was actually sectioned, dragged away by the police, and also, I mean, it was just epic. You'll see in the book. What would happen is the social workers would come round, and when they would visit us, they would try not to cry. That's how poor we were. They would try not to cry. And I know I'm just sharing all this stuff and, you know, whatever, but it's just one of those days. Anyway, the point is, in the UK, we have got approximately 5 million children now that live on the poverty line.
Yes.
Up to 15 million people in the UK have used a food bank at some point.
Yeah.
And there's a consistent million, about 3 million, that consistently use food banks. And it's not because they're not in work. The majority of people that use food banks in the UK are working people.
Exactly. And this is the concept in sociology of the working poor, right? Work used to keep you off the poverty line. Even if you were nudging it and it was a real squeeze till next payday, you still could function, you know. But the working poor, people can't afford rents in London. If you haven't already organised it, you can forget it. So you've got 50-year-old people couch surfing with relatives and, you know.
It's the same way here in the US.
Oh, yeah, and Australia too. Australia is
that are living in their cars because they can't afford a roof over their head, yet they're going to work every single day.
Yes, which says something about what those jobs are paid. It says a lot about everything, the working poor.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
and the problem is the Conservatives, whether it's US, Australia or the UK, don't know how to deal with poverty. It's just statistics to them. How can we crunch the numbers? And it's the old thinking, you make big business subsidize and when business is healthy, trickle down. And it's not called trickle down economics for nothing. It's because it's a drip and it's not enough.
Exactly. And really it's trickle up. So and that's what's been happening for decades. So I've been preparing my brother. I said, Stanley, get ready, because I said our story as a family, and yours in particular, I said, is going to touch a lot more people now than it would potentially do in the past, because it talks about hunger, it talks about crime, it talks about drugs, but it also talks about mental health. What has happened since the lockdown? The mental health crisis has got even worse. And next year, because of what Kwasi Kwarteng and what Liz Truss have done with their sabotage economics, they say now the number varies. Some say 5, some say 3, but it's around about 3.5 million UK citizens next year are going to have renegotiate their mortgages at a much higher rate. And they said the average increase for people is going to be between 500 to 600 pounds extra per month.
People can't do it. They can't do it.
We're going to see what I'm expecting is I think there's going to be at least maybe about 50,000 people, I think, that will default on their mortgage. So
and we'll see the foreclosures and people out on the street.
And people buying up bargains. It's just, honestly, it's just one of those things. But anyway, questions come in from Katie Darling. And she's, this is really interesting. So Louisiana Democrat, she had a viral ad. She's called, what is she called? Oh my God, didn't I not write her name down? Oh no, she's called Katie Darling. I think she's called Katie Darling. So Louisiana, she's a Louisiana Democrat. She did an ad that went viral where she showed herself giving birth in the video.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, very interesting. So I put it, so she stands for full bodily autonomy and privacy in choice, etc., which was turned over. So I put here, how will she do in the midterms? Let's just have a pull and see how she's going to do.
The Katie Darling, yeah.
Yeah, Katie Darling. Just had an Ace of Wands fall out.
While we're shuffling, Harry Bunn was saying, I never heard of renegotiating a mortgage, not done in the US. Is that right, Lady G? What?
Yeah,
if there's anything worse than renegotiating a mortgage, it's not being able to.
What they do is you have your mortgage. Now, I'm a veteran. Every month I get into this thing to refinance your mortgage, trying to refinance. And then you start over again for another 30 years. And people think, oh, I'm going to pay a lower rate, but they don't get that you start over again. So this is what they do here.
Yeah, and to share on a tangent, some of my clients have come to me where they've got a mortgage and then the bank decides, I don't know how they do this. And the bank decides like, well, you've got your basic mortgage, but we're redefining your mortgage. So you're going to pay your basic mortgage plus another $300, $400 on top. And they have to try and find the money and rent out rooms and stuff like that to pay this extra that the bank has just arbitrarily decided to fling on the top. It is astonishing.
And what was Liz Truss's very first action was to give bank managers at a high level massive increases.
Yep. Unlimited. They can now have unlimited bonuses. And she scrapped, or she has had to U-turn on it, the top 45p out of a pound tax rate to give the top 1% a massive tax cut that they didn't even ask for. Even the boss of Shell said, tax us.
This is
Can you
the
believe
thing.
it? Tax us. You don't need to have holes in your deficit. So it's astonishing.
And Warren Buffett, who famously said, why do I pay less tax than my secretary?
Right.
As a billionaire. Not everyone wants to rip off everybody every waking moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's astonishing.
Oh, my God. Sorry. Now we're back to Louisiana. Katie
Darling, the Louisiana Democrat for Congress, 1st District. How will she do in the midterms? Let's see. What will Katie do in the midterms? What's going on with her?
Well, I can go.
Yeah.
Underneath of it, we have rapidly moving, and we have these abusive things, that's going to be coming out by the Republic Ugly Party. Nefarious means, because we have what's happening is they are trying to put an end to her things going forward. The challenge is they're going to be putting out a lot of spin, a lot of, false things, trying to manipulate. There may wind up at the end of it, clarification being an investigation into it because of some nefarious things that they may be trying to do to overturn her from getting in.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a similar thing here with this. This is her, the Knight of Wands, here speaking in the sense of the ad, right? And this is what the message was, with her sword raised. This was her making her statement about Roe versus Wade. But here comes, like you got it similarly, Lady G, a lot of confusion around that from the GOP.
Right.
But I get that she hangs in there. Right. And I think she's got quite a good chance of winning. She gets the Queen of Wands. So that's the more mature version. Oh, yeah. So I think she'll either win or her name will then become currency. So she'll still have a voice because this is all about being able to speak and be heard. Her voice will continue either way, but I'm hoping that means a win. Yeah.
Well, let's hope they find out what the dirty things that they're trying to do, and that it's, going to pull her through, that they're going to
in time.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. When I was shuffling this new deck, what fell out for me was the Ace of Wands. Let me just make sure that is the Ace of Wands. So in many ways, this is her inspiring campaign. We can literally put it that way. It's really cut through it. Kind of literally caught fire. Literally caught fire. No one running for office is ever shown before them going through the process of childbirth. Yeah, and it was very touching and stuff like that. So that's what fell out of the deck. What I got was the King of Pentacles. Now, this is going to seem, and I'm going to move to my my traditional deck, because it is going to seem a bit confusing. Is that the King of Pentacles is a woman here? Yeah. In many ways, when I think of the King of Pentacles, this is really telling me about the GOP, the patriarchy, those guys that she's up against. And she said that Louisiana, she said, is 50 out of 50 in terms of, it must be maybe the worst state or something like that.
Education, health, infant mortality, all of it.
Exactly. So it's almost like she's kind of coming with a wand of inspiration. Sorry if it chops up a bit. Wand of inspiration to talk about the patriarchy. And then when we look here in the obstacle position, I've got the Eight of Cups has come back again. So again, there is this sense of walking away. But who? Yes. Does she walk away from the campaign because the patriarchy are just too much? Because, she literally is an ordinary person. She's a mother. Do you know what I mean? She's running very much a sort of no frills, very honest, down to earth American woman platform. Or is it the case of that will be successful and will be almost the antidote in a way, and that might get some voters to walk away from the Republicans? I think it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen.
Let's hope it's the latter.
Let's hope it's the latter. Now, the next card I get here is the Five of Pentacles. So we know that this can be the poverty card of feeling out in the cold. But again, for who? Exactly, for who?
Yeah.
As the King of Pentacles has come up, obviously they want to ostracize her, put her out in the cold, and try and basically starve her campaign. However, if the energy swings in her favor, maybe she could make that breakthrough and kind of send the Republicans packing. We'll have to see. Either way, it is going to take a leap of faith. Many people would have questioned her, and they would have said, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Yes,
it's a big deal. Yeah, it's a huge jump to be literally. And she said, we on the farms, they've got pigs and they brew some kind of alcohol or something so they're very homespun, quite literally.
And hardworking.
And here she is, in a way, taking this leap into politics, a real leap of faith, risking everything. Yeah, she could be risking her finances, quite literally. But look, the outcome card is the Queen of Wands. She comes back again, same as you. Yeah, she comes back again. And I've only done 2 pullings, and twice I've pulled the Queen of Wands. So it shows that she's got great passion, of course. But I have a feeling her campaign is going to inspire so many women to come out and vote, not only because of Roe versus Wade, but she's someone that they can relate to. So let's hope that.
Bless her.
Yeah.
And a big thank you to Piatini for that donation. That is very kind. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll have to scroll down. Anything else to add, ladies, before we move on? All good? Anything? That, Katie, darling. All right. Let's move on then to the UK.
Oh, God.
Now, Lena, you accurately predicted ages ago, and I knew it as well. But you called it from the get-go. You said Liz Truss is going to win. And when I say win, I mean in terms of the leadership contest, which was always going to be a poison chalice, by the way.
Absolutely. And it is.
Poison chalice. And I never thought that I would say this in all the years of Tory government and stuff like that. I really thought that Boris Johnson was as worse, as bad as it got. Yeah.
But you'd be wrong.
It's astonishingly bad, to the extent that even the Tories are even talking about maybe like, you know what, maybe we need a general election and maybe we just need to leave our hands off this. Like it's that bad. It is that bad. Yes. So of course she's come in with quasi-quieting. And what I say is this is where nepotism gets you. Yes. This is what happens when you elevate your high school shag to chancellor. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it.
Let's face it.
That's what I think it is. They were, they had a little thing once upon a time. I mean, the way she was looking at him, did you ever see she was like...
No.
It was more... Do you know what I mean? It's like, calm down. Like when you see the photographs. So for me, it's like they were too similar. They've got totally carried away. They've listened to the dark money or whatever, and they've gone out on a whim. They've risked everything and they've tanked the economy, and now we're in all sorts. So I put here, so Liz Turd, which I'm calling Mistress of Calamity. Yeah. Mistress of Calamity. Sacks quasi-Kwarteng, so she's got the cheek to sack the guy that she was in lockstep with. She should have sacked herself. Sacks quasi-Kwarteng, the joint architect of her ruinous mini budgets, and sacked him to try and save herself. So what next for her? Liz Truss. What next for her? What's next for Liz Truss? We've got over 1,300 with us as well, so thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Oh my God. You wouldn't want her cards. You really wouldn't.
I'm not even going to read her chart because I know it's just horrific.
No, why would you do it to yourself? No. Will I start?
Go for it.
Okay, she's the Nine of Swords. She's realised she's blown it, but doesn't know what to do. Duh. Okay. She then gets the Queen of Cups. Now, this, of course, can be a lovely card. It was my Princess Diana card, someone who understands other people's emotions, But the thing is the lid on the cup. And in her case, Liz Truss's case, it's the negative Queen of Cups, which is she's awash with emotion, and she's been the tough girl until now of just, getting it done. She doesn't know what to do. Her hands are tied because she's there. But look, I think the Tories are going to bring in the big stick and wave her off from the jetty symbolically at a time in the not too distant future. And they may even be prepared to surrender an entire election to do it. And then leave Labor with all the impossible finances to clean up. I will just add to that.
Yeah.
No.
Lady G, what do you have for us?
Well, underneath of it all, I have something new coming out about finance things. Somebody talking. It's going to put her massively on the defensive, back her up to the edge when the light is shed on it. The challenge is the craziness that she's done, and talking about that, bringing that out to light. And the message is we need a new leader. We need somebody here that's stable, that knows what they're doing, that can put the country in good stead.
Wow. And thank you for that, Lady G. And I'm just Edith here saying, same here in the US. I've used the food bank while I was working 38 hours a week.
Yes.
It's just criminal, isn't it? And that's what they want, everyone, or at least in the UK. Shanghai on Thames.
Yes.
That's what they want. They want to sell off to, rich internationals, crash everyone's mortgages. Everyone has to suddenly can't afford their property, and they're going to buy it up cheap. And then before you know it, we've got a Jared Kushner situation when someone's got hold of
9,000 apartments. Exactly.
Is it 9,000? Was it?
Yes.
Was it? Oh my God, thousands.
9,000 apartments. And that's apart from his commercial rent space.
Oh my God. I'll tell you something. My membership will know this. I did a video on Jared Kushner, and he's got an exalted Mars. What does that mean? When a planet is exalted, it's over the top powerful. Yeah, over the top powerful. The Queen had this at exact 28 degrees. Jared Kushner actually has this yoga as well, believe it or not. And we all know he's a douchebag, but the point is that planets represent certain things. Mars represents conflict, energy, war, all of that stuff, but also represents siblings, but also represents real estate. I kid you not. He has an exalted Mars. So when I saw you talking about that, Lena, I was like, oh my God, 9,000 properties. There you go. No one said life was fair. Anyway.
As my father used to say, never expect life to be fair.
Oh, yeah, indeed. So when we look at Liz Turd, what do we get? I get the Empress, and you might be thinking, the Empress? But you know what?
Whoa. But
yeah, really and truly, when she came into this role, when she was announced as winner, my nickname, one of my other nicknames for her, I've got lots of nicknames. One of my nicknames for her is Bouncy Castle. Yeah, have you noticed? Whenever she walks like she's on a bouncy castle.
right.
Yo, you got to see her. So here she is, feeling like the Empress. When she won, she was like, oh, I'm abundant. I'm fruitful. No matter where I turn, flowers and burst into leaf. Yeah, she's like, I feel fecundity. I'm pregnant with this incredible idea for the UK economy. I'm going to birth and grow this from my womb. That's how she felt. Yeah. But then what happened? In the obstacle position, she announces this plan, which she thinks the whole world is going to embrace. And she's like, look at my beautiful baby. And everyone was like, huh? What is? How are you costing this? What, the first thing you do when you got cost of living crisis, which is documented around the whole world, everyone going to food banks, energy and all this, that. And the first thing you do is give money to the bankers. And what do the markets do? Because look, this is about what? Finance, juggling finance, and what? Stormy seas. So that so-called mini budget, which came out of what she thought was her incredible abundance and, trashed the markets. And then what did she try and do? She tried to balance it out with temperance. Yeah. She's like, come on, me and you, Quasi, we can do this. Yeah, we can sort this out. We can project to the world this happy family. It's hilarious, isn't it? The cards.
It is hilarious.
Family, don't worry, everyone. It's fine. I'm sticking to the plan. I'm going to take the UK through this. Yeah, as the markets tank, as the Bank of England come in and bail out our backside, so we actually have a pensions. If the Bank of England had not stepped in when they did, they said by 5 p.m. that day, the whole of the pension market in the UK would have crashed. And we would be like pretty much like Venezuela right now, not to be bad to Venezuela, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's the outcome of all of this? There you are. 5 of Pentacles. And I've said it once before, and I will say it again. Liz Truss is a cloth-eared turd in need of a flush. And what's going to happen on Monday, they say the letters are coming in already to the chairman of the whatever to maybe to have a vote of no confidence.
No confidence.
She might escape, she may not. But the point is, it's untenable.
Yeah.
She's ridiculous and she needs to go.
In record time. Nancy says in the comments, Labor has visions.
Yeah.
Good point. I think what Labor has to do in the UK and Australia, and the Dems in the US also in other ways, but in the UK context, Labor needs to say, look, we signed up to Brexit. It is going to impact our economy negatively for more than a decade. Talk long term, be honest, and say it's our job as a government to create more employment and to support our people through this, instead of just pretending it's a Tory issue versus a Labor issue. They need to claim that ground.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. And it's nakedly obvious now, even for people that I think would consider themselves quite well off. But I mean, this is really going to affect, and I think it's also a bit of revenge, because you know what they said? They said part of the getting rid of Boris and all that kind of stuff with those by-elections, they used a term which they called Waitrose woman.
Right, yes.
Which, and for you guys that may or may not know, Waitrose is quite a high-end supermarket brand. Yeah, you can go there when you need a bit of powdered unicorn or something unusual.
That's right.
That's where you go.
You go truffles for breakfast.
Exactly, and it's very middle class and it's lovely and everyone loves it. And really, with this sabotage, which is the only word for it, this sabotage hits Waitrose woman and Waitrose man right in the pocket, because they will have mortgages. So I'm just flinging that in there. Anything else to add to that, ladies, before we move on?
No, your last two cards remind me that's my card for the Trumpian clan and family, and they're also headed to bankruptcy and out in the cold.
Exactly. Shall we do a couple of one-card pulls? Hogarth? Yeah,
let's do a couple of one-card pulls. We got some stuff here on Elon Musk. Yeah, Elon Musk. I won't say who the person is, but I got a friend of mine who, let's say, had a little bit of a crush on Elon Musk. I think it has faded somewhat over the last few months. So Mary Huddleston, she's asked Elon Musk, does he have connections or / relationship to Putin? I kind of like paraphrased it. Then what of his federal investigation? Because he's being investigated, and will his purchase of Twitter go through? So I think let's do one card pulls on those things.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll go on to democracy and then a little bit of Trump, Duck L'Orange, if we can squeeze him in. So first one, does he have connections or relationship with Putin? One card pull, and we'll do a 1, 2, 3. On moment, Paul. All right, we ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Right. All different.
How interesting. All right, Lena, how are you interpreting your card?
Well, that he's always just charged forward, right? The first to do this and the first to do that. And that's brought him success, right? Just charging on regardless. Mm-hmm. Has he got connections with Russia? I mean, just have a look here. There's a bit of imagery going on. Mm. I suspect not in the pocket.
Yeah, not in the pocket. He's too rich, isn't he?
If you're that rich, you do have associations with all sorts of people. So I would say some association, but I don't think they're each other's best buds.
Maybe indirect. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, he's out there always looking for something new on the, on the edge of things. Again, I think he would do business with whoever, that would come forward. So I think he's always out there just looking to see the next score, no matter who it's with.
Yeah. I've got 7 of Swords, which we know is the Russian card, quite literally. And trying to get away with something. I think what has emerged here is that I think Elon Musk has been, in a way, kind of affectionately seen as affectionately like, well, he's just a geek and he just wants his spaceships and he just wants to fly to Mars and he'll do all his electric stuff. When really we've found out that he's a little bit of a dissembulating, sneaky character, particularly in regards to his relationship with Twitter, isn't it? So let's just say there's a lot more that's emerged about Musk. Would he have a relationship with Putin? I think, like Lena says, at that level, they all know everyone. When you are richer than certain sovereign nations, then you are, you know, at that level, you know all the leaders, you know who's who. And there's been all this space satellite stuff, of course, helping out Ukraine as well. So let's just say, you know, that's a positive. But yeah, he's trying to get away with something. Sho, do you want to pull one card on the federal investigation, or will he succeed with Twitter? Maybe that's more.
Maybe just the Twitter one, yeah.
All right, let's do one card pull on Twitter. Well, and then we have a look at democracy, and then hopefully we can squeeze in Trump. The hour has gone in a flash. Okay, so Twitter. Will he succeed with Twitter? So, all right. We ready to go? Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. What do we get? Oh. So, lady, Lena, forgive me. How do you interpret?
My heart sank. You know, the lovers are about deals and this and that. And I've personally been on my knees praying that he wouldn't be able to get this. But at the moment, the energy at the moment is the deal is back on.
Yeah. It's partnerships.
Yeah, mine is, you know, the judgment. I think it's not over till it's over.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave it there.
Sorry, I'll just back up for a minute. It just occurred to me, this could be him trying to bring another partner on board.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because the lovers is all about big decisions, and it can also literally deal with business, about business relationships. Yeah. And then, you know, Lady G's got the judgment, and then I've got the Page of Swords. Now, isn't it interesting that I've picked up another sword for him?
Yes.
Look, this guy, he's a bit of a sneaky so-and-so, you know. I'm sorry he is. The fact that I picked up another sword, and this card, as we know, it can be the sword of truth and blah, 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 which, of course, if we think, what are the arguments, particularly with his troglodyte foxtrot people, and what are they saying? This is all about free speech, everybody.
Yeah, they always use
all about free speech. Yeah, because this card can mean that, the journalist, free speech and stuff like that. But it can also mean the spy in the camp.
Exactly.
And the fact that I got the 7 of Swords in the previous trying to get away with something, I think it's more of the latter. His motives for having Twitter are not completely altruistic, let's put it that way, for entertainment purposes only. I'm all for you with your electric cars, Elon, even though no one can afford them. I'm all for that, but his motives, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Okay, let's see if we can squeeze in one on democracy and then one about Duck L'Orange. So Sharon Donnelly, who gives us wonderful questions.
Sorry, there's a great comment here. Free speech is not free. Good on you.
Yeah, very, very true. Oh, where is that? I'll have to try and highlight that at some point. So Sharon Donnelly, and she also says she's sorry for Liz Truss. So I accept your commiserations. So democracy is on the ballot in 2022 and is predicted to survive. So obviously she's probably looking at other channels and stuff like that, of course, as everyone does. But will it become more threatened for America in 2024? So we've got the midterms. Remember, lunar eclipse, everyone, on the midterms. Can you believe it?
The day.
I mean, what kind of cosmic joke is that? On the day. Honestly, hold on to your underwear, folks, on that day. Go out and vote, but just be ready for anything. So,
vote early if you can.
Exactly. So 2024. Do you want to do a 1-card pull, or do you want to pull more cards on this one, ladies?
Just one for now, because we've got to get through
We've got to get
2022.
through, yeah. So 2024, what's in store potentially for 2024 in the state of democracy? All right. We ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh. Ooh. Oh my God, this is really quite something.
Isn't it? Because Lady G's card is my Biden card.
It's mine too. My Biden
good.
democracy. Yeah. Democratic. Yeah.
Very interesting. So, Lena, how do you interpret your card, that 2 of Swords?
Oh, I think it's crystal clear. America is at a crossroads. It's unprecedented in modern history. And so it's up to the people of America to turn up in unprecedented numbers and make sure it goes the right way. They've got the swords in their hand. You don't feel like that after being ground down for 5 years of Alice in Wonderland, up is down and down is up. But you do have the swords in your hand. And I think it's very literal.
Quite literal. Lady G, how do you
You already know mine is the card of democracy and Biden and,
Could it mean that he runs again? It could be interesting. Could he be there? I mean, I'm not sure. I always thought that he might just run. And I think it's still too early yet, because in my visions, I know not everyone's necessarily going to want to hear it, but I saw him doing about 2 and a bit years and something weird happening or whatever. I'm not predicting anything, but in terms of years ago. But seeing that card, it is reassuring that it should come up when we're talking about 2024.
Yes.
So
yeah,
fingers crossed. What I get, look at this. I get the hostess with the mostess. I get the 9 of Pentacles. Could it be, dare we hope, that democracy ends up being thriving, fit and well, and everyone's like, Duck L'Orange? What Duck L'Orange? Insurrection? What insurrection?
Oh my God.
So I hope, if we were to interpret this card another way, though, this could talk about the influence of big money, though. Yeah, it could talk about the influence of big money. So someone's going to be winning big in 2024, and let's hope it is democracy. And so far, I think the elves are beating the orcs but it's a bit like that, but I'm encouraged by those cards. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Right, so it's Duck L'Orange, yeah, and we need to talk about the Jan 6th subpoena. Wow, it just gets juicier and juicier, doesn't it? So they said that they had no doubt he led the effort to overturn the election result. And so it's more like, will he testify, which is probably no. So what I wanted to ask is what will happen if he does not testify? We know if he does.
Okay. So you mean, will there be legal repercussions for him if he does not testify?
Yeah, because we know he's what? Delay. So there's no point saying, will he testify? Because he's obviously not going to.
No.
So it's more like, if he doesn't testify, what happens? Will he get a bit of Steve Bannon treatment? Duck L'Orange. Oh my God, this guy. He's teaching us a lot, isn't he? He is teaching us.
That's his job, really.
Yeah, teaching us a lot. Okay, Duck L'Orange. How will he fare? All right, we ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Oh wow. Wow.
Honey buns, you're in danger, girl. You're in danger. I mean, I think
yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. But let's have an individual interpretation of each card, even though the cards are blindingly obvious. But Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Yes. Well, not in a hurry to turn up for anything, like having a little lie down. But we forget with the 4 of Swords, that the stained glass windows represent an enigma that needs to be solved. And so I think this is the committee or the DOJ. How do we handle him? He said no. He hasn't turned up. There's been 3 appeals. What do we do? They still don't know what to do with this man. You know?
Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, this is, this is just up to his own, the usual maniacal stuff that he does, so.
Yeah.
That's it.
You can see it all there, isn't it? All the pathologies, all of the cray. That card just sums him up perfectly. And of course, my one here is that there we are. Look, we got the 3 of Swords. So after all of this, ultimately, he's going to be heartbroken, because if he doesn't turn up, he's going to get slapped in the face like Steve Bannon has. And as I said before, ages ago, I said Donald Trump will become the most litigated man in history. We see it already.
I think so. I think he's definitely running for the prize.
Absolutely. And I've seen him, and it was like those pink Playboy bunny slippers that had been chewed up by the dog and peed on by the cat, and it was all dry and crispy. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I've always seen for him. So I think those cards said it all. I think it's a great way to end the show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Almost 1,500 of you joined us tonight. There's only 7 off. Thank you for all of the comments. Thank you for the questions. And thanks for hearing my story. I just had to get all that stuff off my chest.
And one more plug for your brother's book.
Yes. So here it is. Little Big Man. Little Big Man, that's my brother there as a little boy, Stanley James Browne. I will, after the show, after I finished post chat, I will put some link up in the description. Available in the UK, as someone said, but available in the USA in January. And it could go further. It could really become something. So, but get ready.
Look, I think Oprah could come out of retirement.
We shall see, but it's a universal story, and ultimately is a story of hope. And I was so proud of my brother today. Like, was bursting with love, because his journey is an extraordinary one, and it's not often that someone gets an autobiography picked up by a publisher.
No, it's rare as hen's teeth.
Yeah. So much love, congratulations, and I'll be meeting him tomorrow for lunch along with a bunch of other people, I think. So I look forward to that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Before we go, I think one of the viewers said that she just lost her husband. So on that, she worries she may lose her house. So
oh my God.
Send her some good energy and stuff.
Light and protection.
Golden light.
Very difficult. Honestly, thoughts and prayers. A lot of us are struggling, aren't we? A lot of us, of the world. Pluto. Yeah, Pluto. I know some people think Pluto's got nothing to do with it. Let me tell you, he's got everything to do with it. Because the last time he was here was about 244 years ago, folks. So this doesn't happen very often in sidereal Capricorn. But it's also as well alchemy, turning lead into gold. We also see there are good things happening too. So let's not despair. Many of us are going through transformation. These eclipses have just been absolutely extraordinary for me, for my brother, for so many people. So there is hope. Positivity is there. But women, claim that mantle, take in that celestial fire, and do that Persephone work and that Gaia work, and bring that transformation, because you guys are going to be the ones that are going to be the champions. Really, it is. It's the women that are gonna do it, that are going to save
and the men who are not threatened by women.
Yes,
indeed. Like me with my divine feminine deck. Yeah,
that's right.
Cards. Anyway, right, we must dash. Thank you so much again.
All right, and much love to that viewer.
Yes, much love as well, and we're sending our hopes and prayers and protection to you. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week. All right,
next week.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Ciao.